Excellence starts with a decision, not a result. Before you ever hold a trophy, before you ever get recognized, before the world ever sees you as successful, there's a quiet moment where you decide that mediocrity will no longer have a place in your life. That's where greatness begins. Not on the stage, not in the spotlight, but in that private conversation you have with yourself where you say, I'm done being average. Every transformation starts with a decision. You can't drift into excellence. You must decide your way into it. Most people wait for a result to prove to themselves that they can do it, but the best make a choice first and let that decision shape their destiny. It's not about luck, background, or perfect timing. It's about taking responsibility for who you become. Life won't hand you excellence. It will test your resolve to pursue it. The day you draw the line between who you are and who you want to be, that's the day your life changes direction. When you decide to be the best, your habits change, your attitude shifts, your focus sharpens. You stop wasting time on what doesn't move you forward and start investing in what builds your future. A decision ignites discipline. And discipline, when practiced daily, becomes character. The truth is, most people never make that decision. They live by default, not by design. They wait for circumstances to improve, for motivation to appear, for someone to believe in them before they believe in themselves. But waiting is the enemy of winning. The best understand that belief comes first, evidence comes later. You must see yourself as capable before the world ever sees it in you. Your results will always reflect the standards you've decided to live by. That's why the decision matters more than the conditions. When you decide to be excellent, you no longer tolerate average effort. You stop blaming and start building. You stop complaining about how hard it is and start preparing for how great it can be. A single decision backed by daily discipline creates momentum, and momentum builds mastery. It's the quiet hours of practice, the repetition no one applauds, the sacrifices no one sees. That's where excellence is born. Every great musician, athlete, or leader started the same way, with a decision to give their best even when no one was watching. Excellence doesn't start with resources. It starts with resourcefulness. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to begin. Begin where you are with what you have and keep improving along the way. When you choose excellence, life will test that choice. You'll face challenges that try to pull you back into comfort. People who won't understand your ambition, moments of doubt, when quitting seems easier than continuing. But remember, your decision is stronger than your difficulty. Those who win are not the ones who never face obstacles, but the ones who never abandon their decision. The key is to renew your decision daily. Every morning, remind yourself why you started. Excellence isn't a one-time choice, it's a lifestyle. It's waking up with purpose and refusing to settle for less than your potential. It's choosing progress over comfort, growth over excuses, consistency over shortcuts. When others are distracted, you stay focused. When others slow down, you stay steady. When others give up, you keep going. That's how champions are made. Once you make that decision, everything else starts to align. Opportunities begin to appear because your eyes are open to them. You start attracting people who share your mindset, situations that match your commitment, and results that mirror your effort. Life responds to clarity and conviction. When your intention is clear, your direction becomes obvious. But never forget, excellence is not a destination, it's a journey. You don't arrive at being the best, you keep becoming better. Each level of achievement brings a new challenge, and every victory teaches you humility. The goal is not perfection, the goal is growth. Excellence is the habit of improving a little bit more every day. It's the relentless pursuit of becoming your best self, not to impress others, but to honor your own potential. So make the decision today, not someday, not when you feel ready, today. Decide that you'll show up differently. Decide that you'll commit to your craft, your health, your mindset, your dreams. Decide that you'll no longer settle for average results when excellence is within reach. Because once you make that decision, life will start rearranging itself around your new standard. The world makes room for the man or woman who knows where they're going. Excellence doesn't come by accident. It's a deliberate choice followed by deliberate action. And the good news is that choice is available to everyone. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be persistent. You don't need a better start, you need a stronger decision. So take that stand today, draw the line, choose to become everything you were meant to be. Because excellence doesn't start with what you have, it starts with who you decide to become. If you truly want to rise to the top in any field, you must develop one of the rarest habits in the world, the hunger to outlearn everyone around you. Success doesn't just belong to those with talent or opportunity, it belongs to those who make learning their daily discipline. Every master you admire, every athlete, entrepreneur, or artist who changed their craft became great not because they knew it all, but because they were never satisfied with what they knew. Learning is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's not a season. It's a lifelong commitment to growth. You see, most people stop learning the day they leave school. They think education ends with a diploma, but that's only where real education begins. Formal schooling teaches you the basics, but life mastery comes from self-education, from the books you read, the mentors you follow, the experiences you reflect on, and the lessons you draw from failure. Jim Rohn once said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And that couldn't be truer. The marketplace rewards value, and the more you learn, the more valuable you become. To outlearn everyone around you, you must become a student of life. Study your craft like a scientist, but observe life like a philosopher. Take notes from success and from failure alike. Ask questions others don't ask. Read books others won't read. Attend seminars, listen to wisdom, and fill your mind with ideas that stretch your thinking. Feed your mind daily the way an athlete feeds their body. The best never go a day without training, and you should never go a day without learning. Knowledge sharpens the mind like exercise strengthens the muscle. The sharper your mind, the greater your edge in every arena. Most people try to coast on what they already know, but that's the first sign of decline. The moment you stop learning, you start falling behind. The world changes fast, new ideas, new technologies, new challenges. If you want to stay at the top, you must keep evolving. Growth is the only insurance against irrelevance. The top performers are students before they are leaders, listeners before they are speakers, and observers before they are decision makers. Their humility to keep learning, even after success, is what separates them from the rest. Learning is not always comfortable. It challenges your old beliefs, stretches your limits, and sometimes makes you realize how little you know. But that discomfort is a good sign. It means you're expanding. The beginner's mindset, the willingness to say, I don't know, but I'll find out, is what keeps you fresh and adaptable. The moment you believe you've arrived, you start to decline. The best never graduate from the school of life. They just keep moving to higher levels of understanding. The goal isn't just to collect knowledge, it's to apply it. Learning without action is like a library that's never opened. Every piece of wisdom must express in your behavior, your habits, and your decisions. Knowledge only becomes power when it's used. So as you learn, experiment. As you study, apply. As you gain insight, take action. That's how you turn information into transformation. Another key to outlearning others is choosing your teachers wisely. Not everyone has walked the path you want to walk. Seek out those who've produced real results, who live by the principles they teach. Learn from their experience, their mistakes, their perspective. A mentor can compress decades of wisdom into days of learning. If you're humble enough to listen, remember, learning is not just about skills. It's about mindset. You can learn techniques, but if you don't learn patience, discipline, and resilience, you'll never sustain your success. The real lessons come from how you think, not just what you do. A wise mind can turn every experience, even pain, into a lesson. The best learners don't just study from books, they study from life itself. So make learning your daily ritual. Set aside time each day to read, reflect, and grow. Surround yourself with ideas that challenge you and people who inspire you. Let curiosity be your teacher and humility your guide. Never say, I know enough. Instead say, what else can I learn today? Because in the end, the world doesn't reward those who are content. It rewards those who continue to grow. When you outlearn others, you naturally outperform them. When you feed your mind more than others do, you'll think clearer, act smarter, and achieve more. The person who learns the most becomes the one everyone else looks up to. So if you want to be the best, start by becoming the most committed learner in the room. Keep your hunger alive, your mind open, and your standards high. Outlearn everyone around you, and soon you won't just rise above the crowd, you'll redefine what's possible. Discipline is stronger than talent. Talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. You can be blessed with natural ability, but without consistency, that ability will fade into nothing. Discipline turns potential into power. It's the muscle that builds mastery, the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Many people start with talent, but very few finish with greatness because discipline is the separating line. It's the difference between those who dream and those who do. Talent makes you shine for a moment, but discipline makes you stand out for a lifetime. The world is full of talented people who never reached their potential because they couldn't show up when it mattered most. They got distracted, discouraged, or comfortable. But the disciplined individual, the one who keeps working, even when the excitement fades, that person becomes unstoppable. Talent is a spark, discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after motivation dies. When you rely only on talent, you become a slave to your moods. You work when you feel like it, and you stop when you don't. But discipline says, I will do it regardless of how I feel. It's doing what's necessary even when it's inconvenient. Discipline builds habits, and habits build character. Character builds destiny. Every great success story has discipline written in the fine print. Behind every gold medal, every great business, every masterpiece, there's someone who practiced, refined, and improved daily long after the initial excitement was gone. Think of the best athletes, musicians, or leaders. They all have one thing in common. They practice more than anyone else. They repeat the same drills, the same notes, the same routines until it becomes second nature. Talent may open the door, but discipline keeps you inside the room. The disciplined person doesn't rely on external motivation. They understand that results come from habits, not hype. They show up every day, no matter how they feel, because they know discipline compounds. Every small effort, every act of consistency builds invisible progress until one day it becomes visible to the world. Discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. It's saying to yourself, I'm worth the effort. My goals matter enough to work for them. When you choose discipline, you're choosing to honor your potential. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it's fair. Anyone can have it. You don't need special genes, special luck, or special timing. You just need the will to begin and the courage to keep going. The greatest enemy of success is not failure, it's comfort. Comfort whispers, take it easy, you've done enough, while discipline says, keep going, you're just getting started. Comfort will cost you your dreams. Discipline will deliver them. The path of discipline is not always easy, but it's always worth it. It's the road less traveled, yet it's the only road that leads to mastery. Every act of discipline adds a brick to your foundation of greatness. Every time you do what's hard instead of what's easy, you grow stronger. People often admire the end result, the trophies, the recognition, the success, but they rarely see the process. They don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices, the repetition. But that's where discipline lives, in the unseen hours. Discipline is forged in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you choose to study instead of scroll, to practice instead of procrastinate, to act instead of excuse, that's when you win. The world might not notice today, but time will reveal the results of your discipline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust in your own ability. That's the real reward of discipline. Self-respect and inner strength. You begin to believe that you can depend on yourself, and that belief is more powerful than talent. Talent might get you applause, but discipline gives you confidence. Talent can impress others, but discipline transforms you. So, whatever your dream is, don't ask, do I have the talent? Ask, can I stay disciplined? Because that's the real question that determines success. Talent without discipline is wasted potential, but discipline without talent can still lead to greatness. In the long run, discipline wins every race. It's the steady hand that keeps writing, the persistent heart that keeps trying, the committed soul that keeps believing. In the end, success doesn't belong to the most gifted, it belongs to the most disciplined. Those who show up, stay focused, and refuse to quit, they write their names in history. So, develop your talent, but master your discipline. Because when talent sleeps, discipline keeps working. And that's why discipline will always be stronger than talent. Your circle sets your ceiling. Who you walk with determines how far you rise. You can have ambition, dreams, and talent, but if your environment is filled with mediocrity, your potential will suffocate. Every person in your life either lifts you higher or pulls you lower. There is no neutral influence. That's why the greats throughout history were intentional about who they allowed to shape their mindset. If you spend your time with people who make excuses, soon you'll start justifying your own. If you sit with those who complain, you'll begin to see life through the lens of frustration. But when you surround yourself with individuals who dream bigger, think sharper, and demand more of themselves, your standards will rise without you even realizing it. It's human nature to adapt to the level of the environment around us. That's why success begins by raising your surroundings. Jim Rohn used to say, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a clever quote. It's a truth that can define your destiny. If you hang around people who are committed to growth, learning, and discipline, you'll start to absorb their habits. You'll catch their energy, their focus, and their sense of purpose. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by laziness, gossip, and negativity, those same traits will quietly invade your mindset. Excellence is contagious, but so is mediocrity. Sometimes, becoming your best requires making tough choices about your circle. You might have to distance yourself from people who no longer align with your direction. It doesn't mean you stop caring for them. It just means you stop letting them shape your standards. Growth often demands separation. You can't climb a mountain while carrying the weight of those who choose to stay in the valley. You can love them, pray for them, and wish them well, but you must keep moving toward your vision. When you're surrounded by the right people, something powerful happens: accountability. You stop settling because those around you won't let you. They'll challenge you when you get comfortable. They'll remind you of your goals when you drift, and they'll celebrate your progress not out of envy, but out of genuine joy. That kind of circle doesn't just support you, it sharpens you. Like iron sharpens iron, you become stronger through their example. If you look at any great achiever, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, none of them did it alone. They built networks of excellence. They spent time around mentors who stretched their thinking and friends who refused to let them quit. They stayed close to people who saw the best in them, even when they couldn't see it themselves. That's what your circle should do. Remind you of who you are and who you can still become. The wrong environment can make brilliance look dull. The right one can turn potential into power. So ask yourself, who are the voices that speak into your life? Who gets your time, your attention, your energy? Because every conversation either builds your belief or breaks it. Every friend either multiplies your focus or divides it. Choose wisely, because over time, you will become like them. Being the best at anything isn't only about effort, it's also about association. You can't rise if your circle keeps you grounded in comfort. You can't grow if your tribe mocks ambition. And you can't chase greatness if your closest company settles for average. Change your environment and you change your results. The atmosphere around you fuels the fire within you. So if you want to reach higher levels of excellence, look around you. Are you surrounded by people who inspire action, discipline, and growth? Or are you surrounded by people who drain your energy and defend excuses? Because one group will challenge you to rise, and the other will convince you to stay where you are. The truth is, greatness is not a solo pursuit, it's a shared energy. Find those who think big, work hard, and stay humble. Spend time with dreamers who also do the work. Walk with people whose habits make you uncomfortable in a good way. And when you find them, stay close because your circle determines how high your ceiling can go. You don't have to cut everyone out of your life to grow, but you must protect your focus. Be polite to everyone, but be selective with your inner circle. Choose people who talk about visions, not victims. Choose those who celebrate your wins and help you rise after your losses. Choose those who push you to become the kind of person you once only imagined. At the end of the day, your future will look a lot like the people you spend the most time with. So build wisely, love deeply, and connect intentionally. Because your circle doesn't just influence your success, it defines it. And when your circle grows stronger, your ceiling rises with it. Perfection is a myth, progress is mastery. It's a lesson most people learn too late. After years of chasing an illusion that doesn't exist, you see, perfection keeps people frozen, afraid to start, afraid to fail, afraid to be seen trying. But progress, that's where the power lies. The best in any field, the true masters, aren't perfect people. They're just people who decided to keep moving forward when others stopped. They didn't let imperfection discourage them, they let it drive them. The truth is, every master was once a beginner who stumbled, doubted, and made countless mistakes. Every expert started as an amateur who was willing to be bad at something long enough to get good at it. But most people never give themselves that chance. They want to be great instantly. They want the reward without the repetition, the glory without the grind. And that's why they quit too soon. They confuse slow progress with no progress, and in doing so, they rob themselves of greatness that was just a few steps away. If you want to be the best at anything, you must fall in love with the process. You must learn to celebrate small wins, to take pride in the daily grind, to find joy in showing up even when you don't see immediate results. Because progress doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, consistently, through effort and persistence. Every day you practice, learn, reflect, and improve just a little. That's mastery in motion. And over time, those small steps compound into extraordinary results. There's a secret that the top performers in every field understand. You don't have to be twice as good as everyone else to succeed. You just have to keep improving when others stop. The difference between average and excellent isn't usually talent, it's endurance. The best keep showing up after the excitement fades. They refine, adjust, and repeat until what was once difficult becomes natural. They know that every repetition, every correction, every attempt brings them closer to mastery. So stop chasing the idea of perfection. Perfection says, wait until everything is right before you start. Progress says, start now and make it right as you go. Perfection fears mistakes. Progress learns from them. Perfection wants control. Progress embraces growth. The irony is that those who stop striving for perfection often achieve excellence because they allow themselves to evolve. They're free to experiment, to fail forward, to discover new levels of skill and insight. They become unstoppable because they are not paralyzed by the need to appear flawless. Life rewards those who take imperfect action. You can plan forever, but nothing changes until you move. The moment you begin, you start gaining momentum. Each small success becomes proof that progress is possible. And once you feel that, you start to believe. And belief is the fuel of persistence. That's when you realize that growth isn't about reaching an end point. It's about becoming someone capable of more. Progress builds confidence, and confidence builds character. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone reliable, disciplined, and worthy of success. That's when life begins to respond differently to you. Opportunities appear, doors open. People notice your consistency. You become magnetic because the world respects progress more than perfection. So, take pride in your evolution. Don't be embarrassed by the stages of your journey. The early attempts, the awkward starts, the failed experiments, those are the raw materials of mastery. One day people will admire your skill but forget how much struggle it took to build it. You'll know though. You'll remember the nights you practiced alone, the times you wanted to quit, and the moments you had to believe in yourself when no one else did. That's the beauty of progress. It transforms not just your results, but who you are. Be patient with yourself. Progress is not always visible, but it's always working. Growth happens quietly, like seeds under the soil. One day you'll wake up and realize that what once seemed impossible now feels natural. That's when you understand that mastery isn't about reaching a final level. It's about becoming someone who never stops climbing. So don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for perfect skill or perfect confidence. Begin where you are with what you have and let the journey refine you. Every step forward, no matter how small, counts. Because in the end, it's not perfection that defines greatness, it's progress. Every small improvement, every lesson learned, every effort made adds up to something remarkable. Remember this truth: perfection is an illusion, but progress is real, powerful, and unstoppable. That's where mastery lives, and that's where your greatness begins. The best never stop becoming better. That's the secret most people overlook. Success is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong process of refinement, of stretching, of constantly challenging yourself to grow beyond who you were yesterday. The best understand that improvement is infinite, no matter how much they achieve. They never say, "I've arrived." They keep asking, "What's next? What more can I learn? How much more can I give?" That mindset separates the average from the exceptional, the temporary winner from the lasting champion. To be the best, you must live in a state of constant learning. Life is a classroom, and every experience, both good and bad, holds a lesson. Those who rise to greatness are those who keep their curiosity alive. They read, they observe, they ask questions. They don't let their pride blind them to new knowledge. When they fail, they study the failure. When they win, they study the process. The best never waste an experience. They squeeze value out of everything that happens to them. But learning alone is not enough. You must also practice. You must take what you've learned and apply it. Improvement is not theory, it's discipline in action. The best at anything have one thing in common: they show up every single day, even when they don't feel like it. They work when others rest. They prepare when others procrastinate, and they persist when others quit. Consistency is their superpower. They understand that greatness is not built in a day, but through small, repeated acts of discipline stacked over time. The best are not afraid of hard work because they see it as the price of mastery. They know that what most people call obsession, they call commitment. And commitment is the difference between those who wish and those who win. You can't be the best by accident. You must decide every day that you're willing to pay the price that greatness demands. That means sacrificing comfort, ignoring distractions, and choosing focus over fun. But once you begin to see the results of your persistence, that discipline turns into desire. You begin to enjoy the process because you see yourself transforming into someone stronger, sharper, and wiser. Another truth about the best is that they never compare themselves to others. They compare themselves to their previous selves. They measure progress, not popularity. They don't get caught up in competition or external validation. They understand that the only real competition is between who they are and who they could be. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer chase applause, you chase improvement. You no longer crave recognition, you crave growth. And when growth becomes your goal, success becomes inevitable. The best also choose their environment wisely. You cannot become your best while surrounded by mediocrity. You rise or fall to the level of the company you keep. Winners spend time with people who challenge them, who call them higher, who make them uncomfortable in the best possible way. They look for mentors who can stretch their thinking and peers who can sharpen their ambition. Growth rarely happens in comfort zones. It happens in environments where excellence is expected. And even as they rise, the best remain humble. They know that pride ends progress. The moment you start believing you've mastered it all, you stop learning. Humility keeps you open to wisdom. It reminds you that no matter how far you've come, there's always another level. The great pianist still practices scales. The world-class athlete still trains like a beginner. The best stay students of the game because they love the journey, not just the destination. Ultimately, becoming the best is not about being better than everyone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about committing to growth so deeply that it becomes part of your identity. It's about striving to become the kind of person who inspires others to raise their standards too. When you do that, success becomes more than personal, it becomes purposeful. So never stop becoming better. Keep learning, keep improving, keep evolving. Life rewards the ones who refuse to settle, who keep moving forward no matter how far they've already come. Every step you take toward excellence compounds over time. One day, you'll look back and realize that all those small efforts, all that steady growth, built a life of mastery, fulfillment, and legacy. Remember, the best are not born, they are built, and the building never stops.